This link is for 4th grade going along with the story Bone-ified Explorer. If you go ahead and make sure your textbook is turned to pages 722 and 723, this is where we're going to go ahead and end. First off, I'd like to go through the vocabulary words that we've encountered in this unit. We have fossil. A fossil is the remains of a plant or animal that lives long ago. Stumbled upon. When something is stumbled upon, it is found by accident. Paleontologist. A paleontologist studies fossils. Inspected. If something is inspected, it is looked at closely. Specimens. Items of a certain type selected for a study. Backbones. Bones forming the spinal column of an animal or person. And professionals. People whose careers involve specialized knowledge. Now, with that being said, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're going to read about, talk about the genre of this story. And the genre this week is a nonfiction article. And a nonfiction article gives information about real people, places, or things. And of course, the comprehension skill that we're focusing on this week is making generalizations. Remember, a generalization is a broad statement. It combines facts in a section with what a reader already knows to tell what is true in many cases. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and direct our attention to the story. It says, meet a bona fide explorer. What does a paleontologist do next after she's discovered the largest and most complete Tyrannosaurus rex fossil ever found? As a little girl in Munster, Indiana, Sue Hendrickson always kept her eye to the ground. I was really shy and always walked with my head down, she said, but my curiosity was strong. She often searched the ground for low-lying treasures. Hendrickson's interest in finding things turned into an exciting job. Now she is a field paleontologist. As a paleontologist, Hendrickson gets to spend a lot of her time exploring and digging. Her searches for new discoveries have taken her to countries around the world. Hendrickson became famous after making a gigantic discovery in August of 1990. After a long day of digging in South Dakota, she stumbled upon one of the most largest and most complete specimens of a T-Rex skeleton ever found. It was as if she was just waiting to be discovered, Hendrickson said. It took 67 million years, but we finally got her. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Go back and look at that first paragraph. In the first paragraph, the author describes how a strong interest in finding things combined with a habit of shyly looking down led to Sue Hendrickson toward an exciting career as a paleontologist. Now, I know that it takes years of studying to become a scientist, so I think the author is making a generalization about how Sue became interested in her career. What strategies might you use to check your understanding of the point that the author is making here? What are some strategies you might use to check your understanding? Well, I know as I reread this page, if I reread it, I would know that it seems clear that Sue Hendrickson is a curious person, but I can also read ahead to see if the author says anything about how much work it probably took to become a paleontologist to help support this generalization. All right, page 724, Finding the Fossil. How did this fossil hunter discover this ancient natural wonder? Well, it all started with a flat tire. While others from her digging team went to get the tire fixed, Hendrickson decided to explore a nearby cliff with her golden retriever, Gypsy. She walked around with her eyes to the ground as usual, and suddenly she noticed a few pieces of bone. Then she looked up. She inspected the rocky cliff above her head and saw 3 dinosaur backbones. She quickly headed back to the team to tell them about her exciting discovery. Now, over a period of 3 weeks, the paleontologist and her team were able to uncover the huge dinosaur fossil. The team decided to name the dinosaur fossil Sue, after Hendrickson. How does Hendrickson feel about finding Sue? Well, she is, I am certain, the greatest discovery I will ever make, she said. I'm going to stop right there. Now, Sue says finding the T-Rex skeleton is the greatest discovery she will ever make. Now, based on your own knowledge and details in this article so far, do you think her generalization is valid? Well, the author says that Sue became famous because of the discovery, and that the fossil she found made up the largest and most complete T-Rex skeleton ever found. Now, I know that scientists don't find such important fossils very often, so her generalization is probably valid. Diving for treasure. Now, Hendrickson's adventurous spirit and curiosity about the past have taken her to extreme places to do her work. Now, when she's not digging for bones, she's diving for sunken treasure. She has been working with a team in Egypt to find the palace of Cleopatra. The palace sank underwater during a 5th century earthquake. Sharing these finds with the world is the biggest thrill, says Hendrickson. Hendrickson also explored a 400-year-old sunken ship in the waters near the Philippines. The ship is called the San Diego. It was a Spanish ship that was used for trade and battle, and in 1600 the ship sank to the bottom of the South China Sea. Hendrickson was part of the team that helped make the San Diego famous again. Now in 2004, Hendrickson joined a team of divers in Egypt to find an ancient sunken city. She also was part of a dive in Cuba to explore a ship that sank in 1714. What advice does Hendrickson have for kids who want to get their fingers dirty? Well, spend some time volunteering out in the field with professionals, she recommends, and focus on school. It will equip you to learn on your own. Okay. Now, with that being said, of course, you've been asked to answer the questions as part of your assignment, questions 1 through 4. And of course, number 1 says, what is a paleontologist? What is a paleontologist? Well, if you reference back to, page 723, or even back to what I have written on my vocabulary here. Now, a paleontologist is a person who studies fossils, okay? Number 2 says, what generalization can you make about Sue Hendrickson's life? Well, we know that Sue Hendrickson's life has been full of adventures, and that was a broad statement there. She's discovered dinosaurs, she's done dives, obviously she's exploring a lot. So a generalization you could say is that Sue Hendrickson's life has been full of adventure. Number 3 says, do you think you would like traveling as much as Sue Hendrickson does, and why or why not? And of course, this is an opinion question. Of course, if you think you would like to travel, you would say, yes, I would. I do feel that I would like to travel as much as Sue Hendrickson, but then you need to support it with facts. Why would you like to do that? And give those examples. And then number 4 says, what is the value of the discoveries, fossils in amber, Bambi, snotties, described in these selections? What is the value of the discoveries of the fossils in amber, Bambi the dinosaur, and snotties? How does it help describe in these selections? Well, overall, and you guys are allowed to word it the way you want to, but overall, all these selections have reflected the idea that these discoveries can teach us about history and ourselves. Like any discovery, it's going to help us understand the past a little bit better and help us understand in general ourselves too, how it makes a connection with us. And with that being said, that goes ahead and concludes this link. Of course, if you have further questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me, phone, email, at the Learning Center, or during my office hours.